For my comparative research presentation, I focused on teacher education and professional development for Japan, Australia, and the United States. My name is Aaron Gardner, and this is for my EDUU Class 607. The research question that focused my entire research was: this comparative research analysis study compares the teacher education and continuing teacher development opportunities in Japan, Australia, and the United States. The next two slides will specifically focus on Japan and then Australia. Japan is a Eastern Asia country that consists of multiple strands of islands. It is smaller than California as a whole, predominantly homogeneous population. The country itself really respects teachers, and their population currently ranks them at 11th in the entire world. Japan's goals in education are defined from UNESCO: the full development of personality, striving for the rearing of people sound in mind and body, who shall love truth and justice, esteem the value of the individual, respect labor, and have a deep sense of responsibility, and be imbued with an independent spirit and builders of peaceful state and society. Like Australia and the US, first off, you need to have a 4-year college degree. Although Japan has a 2-year junior college degree, which you can see below is the 3 classes of teachers. Master's degree is advanced, or earning a master's degree gives you an advanced teacher classification. A bachelor's degree is a class 1, and the unique thing here with Japan is the associate's degree from a junior college is class 2, which predominantly allows them to do early education, so your kindergarten and preschool. The induction process is actually really difficult to get into in Japan. With the induction, there's a prefectural exam, which is a 2-step exam that is very difficult to actually pass. After that, if they do pass, their names are placed on a list, and for hiring, if they even get an opportunity to be hired. From there, they're mentored by a master teacher 6 hours a week in what is called Kinshu intensive training and Shiru guidance for 20 to 30 days, which usually is done at evening or in the evening, and retreats after or at nighttime. Professional development: Japan has a professional development on the 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 10th years, with the 10th year, every 10 year requiring its recertification of their teaching certificate. Something that was really unique about Japan is their lesson study, which dates all the way back to 1870 in the Tokyo Normal School. It is staff-driven, where they decide on a problem, they plan, they research, they observe, and then debrief the actual lesson. With Australia, it is actually one of the 7 continents in the world. The entire continent of Australia is slightly smaller than the United States contiguous 48 states. It is multicultural, unlike the homogeneous society in Japan. Teaching, along with America, the teaching profession is not respected like it is Japan, and they are currently ranked 55th in the world with their population. Australia's educational goals are taken from the Melbourne Declaration, which states has 2 overarching goals for schooling in Australia. Goal 1, Australia's schooling promotes equity and excellence. Goal 2, all young Australians become successful learners, confident and creative individuals, and active and informed citizens. They require a 4-year college degree, and then they also, like America, have alternative routes into initial teacher education. The induction for Australia is now embedded with the new national teacher standards, and they also now use the teacher performance assessments, the TPAs. First-year teachers are required to use these new teaching standards to show proficiency by collecting data and developing a portfolio. throughout the first year before they even receive their teacher credential. Professional development, again, it goes off of these new Australian professional standards for teachers. They are now also designing, they designed a 4 career stages for teachers. First off is the graduate, meaning that you've done your first year and you've earned your teacher credential. Then it's the proficient, highly accomplished, and then lead. They also now require a 20 hours of professional development a year to renew your teaching certificate. 2 key pieces of research that I found in my studies was the lesson study. And this was actually this article was written by Aaron Dweez. The lesson study is just a unique way to do professional development and has been forged for the last 100 years in Japan's teacher education, where the process of finding a problem within the curriculum, finding research behind it, looking at the curriculum, looking at the materials, seeing where it actually fits within student learning, seeing what kind of misconceptions students may have on the topic, investigating the question, and then developing it. And then they would start writing their lessons and anticipate any kind of problems or student thinking so that they can have that ready to go for the students themselves. They will then select one teacher out of the entire group to teach it. And it's not an observation of the teacher or the teacher's skills. It's actually observation of the students and gaining insight on watching them, observing them, recording the lesson through the student's eyes, and then bringing it back and completely debriefing it, where they actually will also write professional papers on. The other one was found from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, on Australia, and all the recent changes that Australia has been going through with really tightening up the reins and trying to strengthen their teacher education program and also developing quality teaching. One of those was I mentioned earlier was the new national standards throughout all the states and territories inside of Australia. The juxtaposition of teacher education and professional development between Japan, Australia, and the US. I broke this down to both teacher education and professional development. For teacher education, entrance into teaching, really all 3 countries require a 4-year college degree to really interact in the compulsory portion of education. Japan has respect for their teachers. They actually use the title sensei, which is really given to other well-respected professionals such as doctors and lawyers. It is also very difficult to become a teacher in Japan, unlike Australia and America, where they're looking at multiple routes. And the fact that there's such a large shortage for teachers, they have to get creative. Certification, Japan, Australia, and the US require exams. Japan has the prefecture exams, which really mimic the high school cram sessions or exams. Australia has the literacy and numeracy test and the TPAs. And then US, specifically California, has a CBEST, CSET, and performance assessment for California teachers, which is the PACT. Interestingly, the PACT was really kind of borrowed from Australia to form those TPAs, the teacher performance assessments. For professional development, in order to maintain your certification, Australia has a 20-hour-a-year requirement to maintain certification, and Japan has the requirements set for the 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 10th years, as mentioned above, along with every 10 years proving professional development in order to maintain your certification. In the U.S., every state is different. California no longer has a mandated hourly requirement. Every 5 years, you just need to pay to update your teaching certification. Stages of teacher degrees. Australia has 4 stages: graduate, proficient, highly accomplished, and lead. Japan has 3 classes of teachers depending on their graduate degrees. Master's is an advanced, bachelor's class 1, and associate's degree is a class 2. Formal professional development. Japan uses their lesson study throughout the entire country. And again, it dates back to 1870 from the Tokyo Normal School. PD staff driven. The professional development is staff driven, not by administration. Again, they find a problem, they research it, they plan, then they observe, and they debrief. Japan also uses teacher deployment every 5 to 6 years, which means that you're not going to stay at one school your entire career, unlike Australia and the US. Found this interesting as US and Australia have huge gaps in highly qualified teachers in the placement of the staff at different schools. So my key conclusions and the growth areas for each country in education: teachers are our greatest assets. Japan has the lesson study that creates strong collaborative environment for growth, but teacher standards could prove worthy to increase individual strides inside of the teaching community. Australia has been working hard in establishing a higher standard with the national teaching standards and yearly PD to cement a more professional look on the teaching profession. What could really grab traction inside of the Commonwealth are the collaborative practices inside of Japan's staff-led lesson study professional development. In the US, the states have teacher standards, but if the US could nationalize these standards and attach them to a continual professional development, the country as a whole could gain traction in legitimizing teaching as a profession. There should also be a call to a national formal professional development, such as Japan's lesson study, so that school sites and specifically the teacher staff, not administration, addresses problems and takes ownership in the school's growth. These are the key references that I pulled from throughout my entire presentation. These are also references I used during the construction and writing of my paper. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.